Hi, this is Jeff from the INTJ equation, and today I'm joined by Drew and ENTJ. Would you like to introduce
How are
yourself,
you?
Drew? Oh,
Yeah, so I'm Drew Nicholson. I am an ENTJ. I am the very stereotypical go-getter type, steamroller type person that everyone knows ENTJs to be. So it's going to be fun talking to you on your podcast.
well, thank you for joining me. All right, so you were
Yeah.
telling me a little bit before we started recording about some of your business ventures. You want to when did you find out you're an ENTJ? When did you find out about typology and all that?
So I was already doing businesses, creating businesses from scratch and everything long before I knew I was an ENTJ. I kind of knew towards the end of high school, I was a little bit different than everyone else. Everyone else was they were very focused on going to college and all that kind of good stuff. And I really wasn't. The only reason I didn't finally get my bachelor's degree was just because I wanted to. But I knew right out of high school that I was a little bit different. But I started multiple businesses before I knew I was an ENTJ. And I think it was really about 2 years ago before I even knew I was an ENTJ. But once I learned about it, it made a whole lot more sense for me. But between me and my wife, we've had multiple businesses. We've had boat detailing businesses. We've owned an online retail business. My wife is a blogger and podcaster herself. We've owned a bed and breakfast. We've owned a theater company, which she works at now. So, yeah, I mean, that's 5 businesses right off the top of my head, and I'm only 26 years old. Um, and just between me and her both, we are very driven and goal oriented. Um, but we do a lot of stuff together. We do really well with them together. So,
Very, very
but yeah.
cool. So what have your experiences been like as an ENTJ? Has it been any difficulties growing up or anything like that? Being like you said, you're noticed that you're a little bit different. ENTJs are pretty rare type as well.
Yeah. So being an ENTJ, my biggest problem is definitely my inferior function, which is introverted feeling. Um, it has it's caused me issues a lot, basically with relationships like my wife, my children, friends, my personal family, and everything. It's just not. I kind of push that kind of stuff to the side, feelings and everything. I don't think about it when I'm trying to solve a problem. I try to use logic and reasoning above all else because I guess that's whatever I've encountered an issue or a problem in life, that's what I've always used. So that has probably been my biggest issue is inferior and introverted feeling. Um, but I know that my extroverted thinking and my introverted intuition almost acts as like a goal generator. And it really propels me to constantly be working towards goals and being a visionary and working towards them constantly, almost to a point where it's very I'm obsessive about it. And if I'm not working towards it, then I feel like I'm getting behind. And it is a blessing and a curse all at the same time. Because if I'm not working towards something, then I feel like I'm falling behind. But usually, as soon as I accomplish something, I'm on to the next thing. Regardless, I don't really get to enjoy the satisfaction of accomplishing something, so to speak, if that makes any sense. So it's a blessing and a curse, but
Yeah,
it has helped me do a lot in my lifetime in just 26 years that most people don't get to do in their entire lifetime.
yeah, for sure. I think it's kind of a similar feeling with me, at least as an INTJ. Like I just gotta constantly be doing something. If I'm relaxing, I'm just kind of beating myself up over it. But you kind of got to learn to
Yeah,
pace yourself or you just run yourself into the ground and you're kind of useless.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's very it's difficult. I'm an ENTJ and my wife is an ENFJ, and so we're very similar, except for when it comes to she has extroverted feeling, I have extroverted thinking. So there's areas where I pick up her slack and she picks up my slack. But then when it comes to our interpersonal relationships, we struggle because the way I think things through and the way she thinks things through is very different. Um, and we both recognize that. And we're both able to know, this just isn't our strong suit. And, if we're standing side by side working on a business or working on a project together, we are very efficient and effective. Um, but yeah, that sitting around not really being able to accomplish anything is we just sit here and get in our own thoughts. And with me having introverted feeling, that's usually not good for me. I usually get almost depressed, just kind of sitting around not doing anything.
Yeah.
Um, and I really, really want to get out and accomplish something and feel like I'm moving forward. And if I'm not, I'm just kind of sitting here, like you said, beating myself up. And it's very difficult. It truly is. If I'm going to be able to relax, I have to know that I deserve to relax. I have to feel like I got something accomplished. Therefore, I know that I can come home and, you know, chill out for a while, watch some TV or have a campfire or something, sit around it.
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting that you're with an ENFJ. I've been talking to a lot of INFJs lately, and kind of think we have the same balance, that we're similar in a lot of ways and we're different, and kind of can like cover each other's backs with our weaknesses. So it's an
Yeah.
interesting relationship to have, I think.
Yeah. And like we have a best friend who's living with us well. So I'm an ENTJ. My wife is an ENFJ, and her best friend is an INFJ. So they together, one is extroverted, the other one is introverted. And, they're a really good pair together. They work together on the theater much better than I'm able to. Because if anything, with any businesses or anything that I handle, I usually handle the legal structure of the businesses, setting up LLCs or S corps or C corps or something like that, handling finances, and providing the overarching visionary goal that we want to accomplish, and then also the daily operations. As whereas they are much more creative than I am, and they have a vision for like the message that they want to portray through their theatrical shows, and they work really, really well together. And we all kind of work together. It's in a really weird fashion, but it works.
It's very cool. I like just people that do really random things that they like and enjoy and just kind of go with it. I think that's great.
Yeah.
So you said you grew up in South Carolina. That's grown quite a bit lately. Is it still a fairly rural area, would you say, or is it starting to turn like a city type
There's
thing?
there's there's bits and pieces that are still very rural. So I am from Oconee County, which is the very, very northern left triangle corner of South Carolina, as far northeast as you, or northwest as you can get in South Carolina. So that's where I'm from. So I grew up in the mountains, and then my wife, she was one county over, and me and her father actually became friends because we worked at a marina together, and we took a liking to each other, and we were really good friends first, and then he introduced me to his daughter, and a little while later we started dating and got engaged and married, and now we have kids and everything. So it's a really cool story of how we met. But we are currently about 25-30 minutes away from Clemson University, which is probably the most well-known place that's nearby to here. If anyone watches football or anything like that, Clemson, they're national champions, in football multiple years in a row. They usually always make it to the top 5 or anything like that. So we're not far from Clemson University. We're not far from Greenville, South Carolina. We're about 2 hours away from Atlanta, Georgia, and then Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're kind of in between some really big hubs in the Southeast. And a lot of people from those cities have kind of realized, we have mountains, we have lakes, hiking trails, we have really, really good food. And there's a lot of people that are moving to this area, specifically Greenville. It seems like the past 10 years, Greenville has constantly been developing and putting up new high rises and high density housing and everything. And it's a constant boom around here. And for people who have lived here all their lives, it's kind of shocking because every time we go downtown, there's something else being built. And we're like, Lord, there's more people coming. So, but it's a really cool area. We have a lot here.
Cool. Okay. I know the U.S. kind of as a collective is really like an STJ society. Like most of the people here are STJs. What would your area? Would you like? What's a predominant type you would say that's there? If you can pinpoint it.
Ooh. I don't really know. I don't really know. I'm specifically here on the lakes. So I have predominantly dealt with a lot of high wealth individuals. Like I said, I started cleaning boats. That was my first business, and I worked at a marina for 6 years before that. And there's a lot of people that I would probably have to say the type of people that are really good at building businesses. I'm not, other than ENTJs, I'm not really sure the typology that's really good at building businesses, but a lot of these people have a lot of money. Multi-millionaires who are on the lakes. I mean, their vacation homes are $2 million, $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing custom cabinetry work now, and I get to go in these homes and meet these people and shake their hands and get to talk to them every now and then. And it just kind of blows you away. These people are very subtle, very down to earth, very nice people. And they are just very, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference meeting them out in public. You would think they were just any other regular person. As far as what our predominant typology is around here, I really don't know. I would say probably majority of the people are more laid back. So I'm not sure if that's like a ENFP or ENTP, something like that. More of a prospecting. A lot more people are laid back around here. I know my typology is rare for around here. I'm not aware of any other ENTJs. I don't have any other friends that are ENTJs. Most of my people that I hang out with are FJs. They usually have a feeling, judging type personality I know of. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure.
That's probably a pretty hard question because, like you said, your area is growing a lot, and there's a lot of tourism and just a lot of people moving in from out of the area, so it's kind of hard to.
I was going to say we definitely had a lot of lake growth, so yeah, I would almost say that our area in the past 10, 15 years has almost doubled.
Yeah, cool. I was gonna say, I always like to ask other NI users, especially like people who have real high NI, like how it works for them. I know, like as an INTJ, I'm kind of just stuck in my head all the time and I have like these weird like fantasies and visions and everything in the future. I think that's a little less so for like ENTJs, ENFJs. How much are you like in your head and thinking and having these like grandiose ideas that people like think are crazy?
Yeah. So yeah, I get the I'm crazy type, even thoughts from my own wife a lot. So I'm not so much in my head so much as I am thinking about ways that I could further myself, um, and or trying to accomplish something. I think my NI allows me to do, and I think that's probably the best way for me to describe it. Then I start executing my plan to get there, and then once I have my vision, that part of my brain kind of shuts down, and I focus on getting there. Once I'm there, then I can accomplish my goal, break for a minute, and then the whole process starts over again. Um, and I can give you a really, really good example of that right now. When my wife and I first started working on our bed and breakfast, I was 23, she was 22. So we have this big, beautiful house that's in her hometown. It's right in downtown, 1 block away from Main Street. It was built in 1903, and in the 30s, it was converted into a hotel. And it was White's Hotel, so everyone knew it as the Colonial House. It's a 6,800 square foot Southern style mansion. And and when we were 23 and 22 years old, I was trying to buy a house. I was a brand new father. My child had just been born. She was 2 months old. And I was working with this lady. We were renting a house and we were trying to buy it from her. And we got the inspection report and everything. And anyway, the roof had to be replaced. So she decided that she wanted to keep the rental. So I said, dang it, I'm going to buy a house. I don't care what house it is, we're going to buy something. And the little house we were trying to buy was like $90,000, nothing crazy. But I knew that I was very passionate and had studied a lot about real estate and real estate investing. That little $90,000 house, I wanted to buy it, live in it for a little bit, fix it up, and then I was going to turn around and rent it. Well, this little old lady, she owns a lot of real estate in our hometown. And one of the houses that she owned was the Colonial House, which was this big, old historical house in downtown. So we knew she owned it. We were kind of prospecting at it with her for a while. And we've never bought any other house. We went under contract for a couple other houses before, but they fell through. Nothing ever worked out with us. So at 23 years old, my wife being 22, the very first home we ever purchased was a 6,800 square foot house with 5 master bedrooms, and then a totally separate living space for us just in the attic. And the attic space had 2 bedroom, 2 bath. So we had a 7 bedroom home with 11 bathrooms. It had a commercial kitchen. It had retail space. And at 23 years old, we put together almost a $500,000 real estate deal. And it was the first home we ever purchased. And we got it up and running, and we slowly fixed up all the rooms, put all the rooms on Airbnb, set up a website, emails, and we were managing it. And ourselves, we lived on site. We had people from all over the world who came stay with us, people from New Zealand, people from Europe, people from Australia. We had all kinds of people come and stay, which was really, really cool. But I think that's something that most people dream that they can do in their retirement. And it was the first house I ever purchased. And that's kind of the NI aspect of me. It was a vision and a dream I had. And then my extroverted thinking was able to take me there. And, unfortunately, we purchased the house at the absolute wrong time. We purchased it in August of 2018, and little did we know that a year and a half later, we would be met with the world's worst health crisis that you could imagine. And unfortunately, we weren't able to keep the business, which is very sad. I really enjoyed it, but God was calling us to other places and to do other things. And that was kind of just a stepping stone for us to go through and for us to accomplish, and then kind of check it off my list and move on. to the next bigger and better thing. And my wife, she's a writer and a blogger, very Christian based, very faith based. And she recently came to me and told me that she wanted to have a property that was almost like a retreat, um, for anyone to come to, anyone who's kind of just going through something, who needs help. Um, just a property with little cabins on it, and people can come and stay with us whenever they wanted to. And I kind of threw out an idea. I saw a piece of property that was up not far from here, up in the mountains. It had a pond, a lake. It was basically an entire campsite, with roads and infrastructure and everything in it. I told her I had the perfect to do that. It's only $2 million. And she kind of lost it on me. She was like, we don't even have $2 million. And that's the kind of thing I struggle with, because I'm very, very visionary and very ambitious. And I have to learn how to motivate other people to realize that it is accomplishable for us. It's not something that we do when we're, 70 years old and we have all the money in the world at the end of our life and no energy to do anything. It's something that we're actually able to accomplish now if we work hard enough to get it.
It's interesting that your wife has the same ideals. I just interviewed an ENFJ guy yesterday in Chicago, and he's living in an old hippie Christian commune where they have like like a big building, and like the top 3 stories are like assisted senior living, and they help with like a homeless shelter and stuff like that. So I think it's very cool that they're so giving and very caring about things like that. So it's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, she definitely is, and she's had to put up with a lot with me because I am an ENTJ. I'm very much a steamroller, and I it's just, I don't think about feelings at all.
Yeah.
So if there's any type of strife in our relationship, it's usually caused by me. Um, but she is very, very caring. She is very loving. She is very forgiving. And she's able to put up with me, which is very difficult to do. Um, and trying to keep up with me and see my vision and being able to just like hang on for dear life when we're 22 and 23 years old, jumping into a $500,000 real estate deal. $500,000 real estate deal is kind of, it's difficult for other types. And just sticking in there with me, that's something that she deserves praise for.
Yeah, very cool. I know like ENTJs kind of have the reputation, maybe even a little bit more than INTJs, about just trampling over people's feelings and stuff like that. How do you manage that with such an emotional person?
It's very difficult. We've been married for 6 years, and we've had a lot of ups and downs. And it just took me kind of breaking down essentially and learning that I absolutely have to think about other people's feelings, regardless if it makes sense to me or not. I have to think about their feelings. And it's very difficult for me because we can have a conversation, and it can be a heavy, deep conversation, and it will literally take me 1 to 2 days to even come up with a response for her. Just because I have to think about everything, because if I don't, then I'm going to wind up saying something that doesn't truly align with my internal feelings. And then I'll come up saying something that I regret, that I can't take back, so to speak. If that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. I really have to use my TE to kind of figure out a system or a plan. And I have to use my introverted feeling to kind of put myself in their shoes, because I pretty much lack extroverted feeling. And then I have to pretty much, it's a process. It takes a while. It's not something that we can just do at rapid speed. It's kind of like we have to really think about it and put ourselves in their shoes and kind of emote it that way.
I kind of have to, yeah. I have to hear everything that someone's trying to communicate to me, especially my wife. And then, yeah, I absolutely, I'll take 24 to 48 hours and legitimately write it down in my journal or text it out in a message or something and make absolute sure what I want to say is what I want to say. It's, and for her, it's almost very foreign because she's constantly using her extroverted feeling to kind of not necessarily control or manipulate people, but it's kind of to keep them in check and make sure they're okay. And she's going to do whatever she possibly can to make people okay, if that makes any sense. Make sure that they're good. And when someone's struggling or something like that, she's going to do what she can to help. And she does go above and beyond anybody's expectations to do that.
So when it time to come to your wife to make a decision where you have to put emotions aside and you have to make it like a thinking decision, how does that work? Do you ever like just kind of like step aside and let me do this, or does she ever have to, I guess, tighten her belt and lop a head off or something?
Yeah, she's not she's very caring and loving, but if she needs to bite someone's head off, she's able to. She's not afraid to do that. Oddly enough, with me being an ENTJ, like if we go to a restaurant, I tell her that the whole reason I married her is if we go to a restaurant and I order something and it comes out wrong, I'm not going to tell them it's wrong. I'm just going to deal with it. She will go get it fixed for me, and that's just kind of the way she is. She's a very loving person, and I guess that's her loving me in a sense. But she'll make sure that whatever I ordered is right. I would just, it is what it is. My steak came out medium instead of medium rare or medium well or whatever like that, and I wanted a sweet potato, and they gave me a baked potato or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know me, I wouldn't care. I'm able to adapt, and it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers other people if plans don't work out exactly how I imagine them. I'm able to be free flowing in that sense. But yeah, she'll step in and step up if she needs to. She's run multiple businesses with us as well, or with me, and she takes charge.
Very cool. So I just want to ask something that just came up recently. I have this young guy on my Discord server. He's still a teenager, and he's kind of like going through an identity crisis, which type he is. And I had a little conversation with him. He definitely sounds like he's an ENTJ. He came off saying originally that he was an ENFJ. Now he's saying he's an ENTP, and he thinks he's an ENFP, and he keeps getting different test results. What advice would you give somebody, about 10 years younger than you? That's kind of like, don't know who they are.
Don't know who you are. So I guess, see, this would be one of those things where I'd have to sit back and take some time. I would almost say that I almost went through the same thing when I was younger, probably exactly 10 years ago. To be honest with you, I think I was either a sophomore or junior in high school. And I literally had to isolate myself, and I had to think about, what do I want out of life? What do I want to accomplish? And I didn't think about anyone else. I basically consider myself, I said, if everyone else is gone, if I have no relationships with anybody, what do I want? And going from there, I think when I did that, I locked into what my personality type was, and that was an ENTJ. Because before that, I was very go with the flow. I don't really care. Things are the way they are. And then I was like, this sucks. I hate where I'm going. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to take charge. And I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, type people. So I would say isolate yourself, take some time, look inside you. What do you want out of life? And if that is you want to be the social butterfly and you want to amass a ton of friends and you want to help them however they can, almost be like a mentor, then you're probably a F type, an ENFJ. And if you want to build businesses and just ever searching for knowledge and becoming smarter so that you can adapt to the world and play the game of life really, really well, you're probably an ENTJ. But there's also a two sides to that coin is if you're an ENTJ and you can play the game of life really, really well, then you absolutely need to know your why. You need to know why you want to play the game of life really well. And if you're an ENFJ, you almost have the opposite of that. You know yourself and you know why, but you are underdeveloped in playing the game of life. So if you're an ENFJ, you know yourself really, really well, but you needed to work on yourself in order to play the game of life. And I would use that. You either are able to play the game of life really well, or you know your why. If you know your why, you're an ENFJ. If you're able to play the game of life, but you kind of lack why, then you're probably an ENTJ.
Very interesting. I think you answered that pretty well. I know this kid, he's about like, I want to be a musician. And if my musician thing doesn't work, then I want to be like a sound engineer, saying, well, you can learn all that. Like an ENTJ can definitely learn all that and build a business, build a brand with all that. He can write the music, play the music, produce the music, and sell the merchandise and manage the tours and stuff like that. That's something definitely an ENTJ can definitely do. And he just sounded like really ambitious in that aspect of like, this is what I want. This is what I want.
Yeah. No, yeah. And then I would just, I don't know if he's going to be listening to this or not, but I would just encourage him to kind of explore his why. Why does he want to do that? Is that just his personal goal, or is that something that he aspires to be, or why?
Okay. I think it's a very good answer. All right. My next question, I don't know if this is kind of like some people have and some people haven't. Have you ever encountered any INTJs, and what was that an interaction like, that relationship like?
So the only person that I know that's an INTJ is you.
Oh.
And I've probably encountered other INTJs and just have not really known it. As far as picking out people's personality types just by having a conversation with them, still not my strong suit. I can read people, I can get a general gist of their personality type, but as far as pinpointing exactly what they are, it's difficult for me to do. But I would probably be able to say that me being an ENTJ, I could be really, really good friends with someone who's an INTJ. Our thought processes are the same. It's just the way that we express ourselves is very different. Whereas someone is introverted, I'm extroverted. And I would probably say majority of my friends who I've had throughout life and school and everything are probably more introverted than I am. They probably fall somewhere on that introverted scale. It just seems that I click with them a little bit better than I do another extroverted person. Me and my wife are a good example. Sometimes we butt heads, and we are both very headstrong. And if I'm right, I'm right. I know it. And if she's right, she knows it. And as far as being best friends with someone, I'd probably say that an introverted person is someone who is probably going to be a friend of mine, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I only had a few encounters with the ENTJs myself. So yeah, it's kind of hard to bump into each other throughout life, I guess. Would you say that you're more
with us?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, with us being rare personality types, it's going to be hard to bump into us anyway.
Excuse me. Would you
No,
say
you're
that
fine.
your wife is more extroverted than you are, or would you say that you're more extroverted? I know ENFJs are probably the most extroverted of the types, really.
Yeah. No, she's definitely more extroverted than I am. Um, she almost goes through almost like social withdrawal. Um, I'm the ENTJ who could work and make my fortune and make my amount of money, and I would build myself a cabin in the middle of the woods and never have to leave. And whereas she is the type of person who, if she's stuck in the house by herself alone for one whole day, she's got to get out the next day and go see her parents or go see a friend or go do something. It's how she is. She gains energy from always being around other people and building off of them and encouraging them and just loving on them. It can almost send her almost the same way it is for me. Um, she can almost go into a depression if she's by herself for too long or not helping someone or not loving on someone. It's her calling is to be out and almost be a mother to as many people as she can be. With her working at the theater now, she has a lot of young kids, you know, teenage years, kids that age, they're going through a lot of stuff and they need a role model. And that's what she wants to be. She wants to be that role model for them and show them the right path, so to speak.
Okay. That's very cool. All right. I don't know if you know much about the shadow functions, like your shadow side of your personality. We talked quite a bit about it. Before I get to that, actually, I want to talk about extroverted sensing, child, or the tertiary function, whatever you kind of go
Yeah.
by. You and your wife are both extroverted sensing child function. So we really like to give people good experiences, kind of like, so I can see that with the hospitality business and
Yeah.
theater and stuff like that. So how's that work with you guys? Is that something you guys can agree with, or is that something you guys butt heads with at times?
No, that's actually something that we agree with pretty well. Both of us like to indulge, basically. So we like to go to fine dining restaurants and enjoy walking around downtown and kind of just enjoying the scenery. And that's what we do in order to relax. That's our reward for ourselves after working really hard. Um, and she likes to enjoy wine. I like cigars, um, and wine and beer, craft beer, stuff like that. Really good food. And she absolutely loves doing, like, when we owned our bed and breakfast, she would throw parties and she would want everything to be perfect. And it almost be like when she would throw a party, she would almost have it be the way it would have been in 1903.
Really?
All the decor would be very old and antiques and just very cool things, the aesthetics of it. Um, and for people like us who enjoy that, um, it's it's very pleasurable for us. I enjoy artwork, I enjoy music, I enjoy nature, just kind of being out in it and everything. So it's definitely something that we definitely agree on. Um, the only thing she doesn't like is when I smoke cigars because she doesn't like the smell of smoke. But other than that, we pretty much agree on everything else. We have our restaurants we love, and we have our own things that we enjoy.
Very cool. Now I want to jump to the shadow if you're kind of familiar with it at all. Like your TI nemesis, the first function in your shadow. Do you ever like feel insecure about your own thoughts, worry about like if you're smart enough, if you're confident enough, or have you pretty much
Yeah,
overcome it?
yeah. So that is it's something that when I was younger, I felt like I struggled with a lot more. Just feeling, for me, it was almost feeling worthy. Was I worthy of life or whatever I was given? Because in reality, I don't. The reason why I work so hard, the reason why I sacrifice to give so much is because I do feel unworthy, is because I do, and I am not confident. I'm able to mask those things with charisma, but in reality, I feel that if I fail at something, it it sticks with me and becomes a part of me, and I struggle with it a lot. But I think it's more of a guy thing. We kind of struggle in silence. So that struggle for me turns into introverted feeling.
Yeah.
And I struggle with it a lot, making sure that I am confident enough, that I am worthy, that I can do what I think I can do. And even though I am very ambitious and visionary, hearing comments from other people that say I'm crazy and stuff like that, that still sticks with us. And it can hurt us a lot more than what people realize. We're still ENTJs, even though we suppress our emotions, we are still very emotional. Um, we are probably way more emotional than what we let on. It's just that we suppress that because it does not work for us. And as we were growing up and developing and everything in our brain realized, okay, if we're trying to solve a problem, extroverted thinking, logic, our intuition, that stuff works. This introverted feeling that we have, no, not so much. So we suppress it. And I guess when our shadow functions come out, that is our biggest enemy. And I would probably say that is the reason why we do work so hard, is because that's always lingering. That monster of not feeling worthy or good enough is always there. So we strive to be almost perfect to a sense where we will neglect ourselves. We will not sleep. We will not take care of our bodies. We won't eat. We neglect our mental health in spite of us accomplishing our goals. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. That's my biggest shadow function, I guess.
Yeah, emotions aren't efficient. We kind of brush them aside to get things done, but they're important. They really are.
Yeah, they really are.
And what about like your extroverted, sorry, introverted intuition parent, your second function? How's it go against like your cynics, your extroverted intuition cynics? Like, are you very critical about what other people want? Is it more about what you want and kind of not about what they want, other people want?
Yeah, no, I think I'm pretty good with that.
Yeah.
Because I can listen to what other people want, and I I like solving the problem. I like using my extroverted thinking to help them solve um, their issues. So, like, if I have someone who comes to me and they tell me that they want to start this business, then I'm all over it with them. It gives me a reason why, um, and I jump all over it with them. If they want to start a business or if they want to do a project or do something, I'm on board. I can do it. And I will show them the best way that I think and what's worked for me in the past, what's not worked for me, all that kind of good stuff.
Maybe I can bounce some ideas off you if you don't mind. I'm a little
Yeah,
lost
absolutely.
sometimes. And going back to what you said before, like you neglect like your sleeping patterns, you neglect eating, your mental health and stuff. That's kind of like an SI trickster sort of thing. You don't really, not really aware of self-care and what your body needs to kind of recuperate. Then that's something that's pretty much affected you throughout your life. Get so
Yeah,
fixated on your goals.
yeah, very much so. I feel like probably probably one of the things is, I can forget to totally eat. I can just go about my day, not eat breakfast, not lunch, and I get to dinner time and I'm like, I'm absolutely starving, and realize that I haven't eaten or drank anything all day, and it's not something that I consciously think about, especially if my day is very, very busy. And right now in this season of life, I'm struggling to, cut out an hour to do this podcast with you. It's just how busy we are. Between us children and my wife running her theater business and me working full time. And then we also we're here camping at Table Rock State Park. We're campsite hosts, and we're here staying in our camper all summer. And so I got to help take care of the park and whatnot. But we're very, very busy, all day, every day. And sometimes we neglect our time, because for other people, if I told you that I wake up at 6:30 in the morning and I do not lay down or go to sleep until midnight, some people would lose their minds. They wouldn't be able to do it. And I'm constantly, so, neglecting myself, not eating, not sleeping enough. It's, and it's going to sound terrible, but once my first child was born, I've never been more tired in my life for the first 3 to 4 months that she was born. I was not prepared for that. My wife wanted to nurse her, breastfeed her, but she never latched on.
Oh,
So
really?
my wife started pumping exclusively for her, so that our daughter would only drink breast milk. And I was helping her with that. So my wife would wake up, or no, I would wake up, I would feed our daughter, and it'd take about 30 minutes for me to feed her, burp her, and lay her back down and go to sleep. And then, in an hour and a half, my wife would have to wake up, pump, give me the milk, and then by that time it was ready for me to feed her again. So there was a stretch there where we honestly never got more than 3 hours consecutively of sleep. And that was when things got crazy and we decided to buy the Colonial House and go into the hospitality industry, is when all that was happening. So we were definitely delusional and delirious by the time that we got to the Colonial House, because we were like exhausted and tired, and we said, let's redo this whole house and operate it as a bed and breakfast. So just, I don't know if we were crazy or it was God or what it was, but it was something took us there, and we went there for a year and a half, and then we got shut down by COVID.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, it's the, again, and me, it's I can look back at it and say I did it, and I'm happy that I did it, and I'm also happy that I'm gone, because it was a 24/7 business. It
Yeah,
was
I bet.
tiring as well.
Yeah, imagine just people staying there and wanting stuff and stuff breaking, old house.
Old house, yeah, 116 years old. So it was hot in the summer and cold in the winter, and I don't know, people were expecting the four seasons, and we're definitely not the four seasons. We'll tell people they get all four seasons in their room, and that's just the way it is in an old house.
Yeah. But the last question, or the last function, extroverted feeling trick, or demon, like the last function. So you're pretty hateful towards other people's feelings, and you said that that's something you have to struggle with, and you realize like other people have feelings and you can't trample over it a little bit. And you
Hmm.
kind of explain that process a little bit. It takes a day or two to kind of process it with your TE and feel it
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I have to. Um, yeah, if I ever get into a heated debate with somebody, um, I'm very passionate about it. Um, and a lot of people will think I'm just arguing for the sake of arguing, but it's honestly because I'm passionate about something and I care about something a lot. And I'm not necessarily trying to hurt the other person or anything. It's just it's stuff that's on my mind. It's stuff that I think about. And with me not having, with me having my feelings very, very suppressed, I don't think things all the way through before I say them.
Yeah.
Um, and that it comes back to bite me, in all honesty. And it's very difficult for me to deal with. Um, so I've learned that I have to bite my tongue, even though I don't want to. I have to. It's better if I don't. If I just shut up and let people bash me, say whatever they want to me, and then I just stare at them with a blank stare. And if that's what it takes for me to come out on top, then I guess that's what I have to do, is what I've learned. Um, but no, back when I was younger, uh, that side of me was not suppressed. I would say whatever came to my mind. I didn't care how bad it hurt the other person. Um, and it was no, it was very mean of me. It was almost you know, it was awful of me. But I've learned, I've aged, I've grown up a little bit, and I've learned to bite my tongue a lot more. But yeah, no, that is one of my biggest issues, demons, if you want to call it that, monsters or whatever, is that extroverted feeling. Anything to do with feeling is not my friend.
So just going back to the other ENTJ kid, which I just talking to you more, I'm even more convinced he's an ENTJ. Do you like losing debate? Does it bother if you lose a debate, or do you absolutely hate it, especially when you're younger?
It depends on how passionate I am about it. Um, it depends on if it means something to me. Like if it gives me, and if you're specifically talking about this other ENTJ kid, if it gives me my why, I will fight for it until I die. Um, and it can become a knockout, drag out fight with me if it is something that gives me a reason. Because if someone is able to point out that something that I believe in is wrong, it strips away my why. And then from there, I don't know what to do. I lose all motivation. So it depends on how strongly I believe in whatever I'm debating, um, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense, I think. If you're not passionate about it, just whatever. But if you're passionate about it, then yeah, it's like all or nothing sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, I devote my life to something if it's my why, and I will fight to defend it until I die, type deal.
Okay. Last few questions I ask everybody. What's your favorite type and your least favorite type if you have one?
Hmm. I I honestly don't know. Um, I guess I'm gonna have to go out and say that my favorite type is my wife, and ENFJ. Even though I know that we're not the most compatible type, um, me and her are able to be a power couple, and we're able to build businesses and help a lot of people um, reach goals and things that they did not think was possible. Um, with her online retail business, we kind of created this really core group of women, and you know, for us, it's a business. We're selling clothes online, but for my wife, it was a community, a community for women to come together and buy clothes and share, and she turns it into this community of people. And that's what she's able to do. So we're able to grow a business, profit from it. She's able to create this community and help people, and then together we're able to help people. You know, if we're making a decent amount of money, we're able to donate and we're able to do giveaways and just help people who may be down on their luck and stuff. Because we are given the resources for that. If that makes any sense. Like if it was just me and I'm by myself, I wouldn't really have any desire to do any big businesses and make a lot of money. I don't really desire the money. I desire what money can be used for as a tool, and that is to help other people. And if I'm able to make a lot of money, I can give it to my wife, and she's able to go out in the world and do with it 10 times more than what I would be able to, just because of her personality type. And I probably have to say that is why I love her so much, and why I think she is probably my favorite personality type. And then I don't really know if I have a least favorite personality type. I don't really know. I guess it would just be the person who would not care for anything, who would never want to achieve anything, have no goals, nothing that I would be able to attach myself to, if that makes sense. Like if I was trying to be a friend with someone and they just never wanted to do anything and just kind of lounge around and watch
I miss,
TV, not have any ambition, nothing I can relate to. I
yeah, it's
don't
the
know
same
what
person that
personality
drives
type
me
that would
nuts
be.
too, for sure. Okay, we're running out of time here. So what is something you would like INTJs or other types to understand about you?
Probably is that don't think an ENTJ, we're not as heartless as you think we are. Um, we have a lot of emotion, and for whatever reason in our development, we've suppressed it. And for my case, and probably the sad truth about it, is that I kind of grew up in not necessarily an abusive home, but a home where I wasn't a priority or a responsibility for most people. So I had to grow up and learn very quickly how to deal with myself on my own and how to take care of myself. So I haven't really developed my introverted feeling or my feeling types because that stuff never worked for me. I didn't have anyone else for me to exercise those portions of my brain on because I was on my own.
Yeah,
So it is probably, if I'm coming across as very heartless and cold, know that it's not me directing that on you. It's just a product of how I was raised or how I was brought up. And I think that's probably very true for a lot of ENTJs, because we get the very bad rap of being very heartless and cold. And it's probably just because of things outside of our control that we had to deal with when we were developing.
yeah, I'm very interested in trauma and fixing like how it affects each personality type. So I think it's very
Yeah.
interesting and a very important question to answer. Okay, my last question is, what would you like to understand more about INTJs or another type in general? I know you haven't had a lot of interaction with us, but
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I would need to I need to go and look and research about INTJs to really ask really good questions. But uh I guess I'm not sure what I would like to know. Tell me the most interesting fact about your personality type.
the most interesting fact.
Yeah.
I think it's similar. Like we're not these cold, heartless people either, and being called a bad person is very offensive to us. We're accused of being like psychopaths or having autism, and that sort of thing bothers us. And deep down, we do care about people, and we just really try to make their lives easier with our TE, like you do. Like like instead of
Mhm.
like you're having this problem, why don't you just fix it instead of feeling the issue? You wouldn't feel it. I think it's kind of
Yeah.
that way. Like when we show affection, we're trying to fix your problem. It's just a way of showing affection, but we
Yeah.
trample over people's feelings that way and don't validate that they have a right to feel the way they feel. So I think
Yeah.
that's Kind of like a misunderstood,
No,
like you guys.
yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And that reminds me of something that, like, if I'm trying to help you solve your problems because you feel bad about them, it's because I don't want you to feel bad. And
Yeah.
if it's like, if my wife is sick, then I make sure she takes her medicine. I make sure that she's drinking water, Gatorade, whatever it is. That's me trying to help you not feel bad. I'm physically, logically doing everything to make you feel better so that you don't feel bad at all. And I can feel, even with myself, if I'm down on myself or something like that, I can tell her not to worry about me, because I truly do not want to burden her with my problems, because everyone's got enough problems for themselves. And for me, I know it's something I'll get over. I will suppress the feelings like I always have and always will continue to do, and to legitimately not worry about me. And sometimes that makes her so mad, because she's that ENFJ, want to help everyone. And it it's just because I care about her, and I guess that's how I would want to be cared for. Just don't worry. I'm all right. I'll get through it one way or another. I've dealt with stuff like this my whole life. Type deal.
For sure. Anything else you'd like the people to know before we go?
No, I'll link to you, my wife, all her writings and everything, so you guys can go and listen to her podcast as well. She does a faith-based podcast with her and her friends. She self-published books, and you can go and download some Bible studies and all that kind of good stuff from her. Um, you can find me on Facebook as Baylister Nicholson, and my wife is Brienne Griffin Nicholson. And you know, I'm always I take a little bit more of a mentorship role if I can. I love talking to people, and if anyone has any questions for me that I'm able to help, I you know I love talking money. I love talking stock market, and trading and real estate and all that kind of good stuff. So if anyone has any questions about that, I love that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I think we had a great conversation here, and I think it'll make a good podcast. If you like what you heard, please like, share, subscribe the YouTube channel. Also, my website is www.intjequation.com. I have a blog. I don't know if I'm going to continue it or not. I'm still contemplating all that. If you'd like it, just let me know for me to continue it. Leave a comment below. We also have a Discord server, which I'll put the link in below. And thank you for going beyond the clickbait. Have a great day.